All right, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutation to all the brothers and a few sisters out there. Unto the Israelite foreigners from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom in the Hebrew, which means peace. It's a quick show to the spirit of Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Lord, brothers be edified. And I watched this whole thing, so I'm gonna do some little commentary because this is all befitting prophecy. What's going on? What's going to happen? All right. And we may think this is a distraction, something that I always thought it. I look at this as a distraction from the real cause of what's really they're trying to hide. But this is what America does best. So you arm the Taliban with $85 billion worth of American military weapons. U.S. House speaks out. Biden's revenge drone strike killed kids. So I'm gonna let this play.
My job there was as a foreign military sales officer. So I was on the front lines of acquiring the equipment that the Americans provided and turned over to the Afghan army and the Afghan police. I'm going to read to you what is so painful for me and so many other Afghan veterans who served in that capacity and others who served as a part of the train, advise, and assist, equip effort in helping the Afghans. We now know that due to the negligence of this administration, the Taliban now has access to over $85 billion worth of American military equipment.
So they say. All right. So they say. Now, did they really leave that much equipment left back? I was thinking about it through the spirit. Let's say if they did do that. That's old stuff. You know, that's old things, and you're gonna hear what they left, but that's pretty much old stuff. But this shows you that Esau is playing in the hands of the Most High to pretending to be a god, because just like the kings of the world, the true kings of this world, and the historical fact of how they got into power, their forefathers played both sides of a war, a particular war. Napoleon and I believe it was Napoleon, which was France versus England. I could be wrong, but they played both sides of the field, and they gave more equipment to the opposition against Napoleon, and they knew exactly the outcome would be. So this is another case of the U.S. probably setting up a proxy, so that way they could use that proxy whenever they feel like it to cause chaos out here. But let's go on.
That includes 75,000 vehicles, over 200 airplanes and helicopters.
Does it sound like they actually left if they did that? That don't make no fucking sense.
Over 600,000 small arms and light weapons. The Taliban now has more Black Hawk helicopters than 85% of the countries in the world. But they don't just have weapons. They also have night vision goggles, body armor, medical supplies, and unfathomable to me and so many others is that the Taliban now has biometric devices, which have the fingerprints, eye scans, and the biographical information of the Afghans who helped us over the last 20 years.
And this is crazy because just for them to say that much, that means that those sellouts, those Afghans that sold their own people out, which is a lot of sellouts in all nations, their lives in jeopardy. You know? Their lives in jeopardy because now the people that was trying to run away from have the power and now have the ability to find out who they are. Yo, man, this is beautiful. So Esau allows this thing to happen, leaves all this equipment behind, and a well-trained army, might I add, that was trained by the U.S. government, and within less than 24 hours, or I don't know how long it took, 3 days it said, I believe, that the Taliban takes over. This story does not add up at all.
And here's what we just learned again in the briefing that we just walked out of. is this administration still has no plan to get this military equipment or these supplies back.
Is incredibly hard to hear, and the thing is, she's right. Their ties to Al-Qaeda only appear to be deepening, and they're now even better armed. The Afghan forces fell so quickly, they left behind brand new boxes of guns and grenade launchers, which Taliban fighters have been filming themselves opening in the world's grimmest unboxing videos. Incidents which led to this exchange.
What happens to the billions of dollars worth of weaponry that the U.S. gave Afghanistan?
We don't have a complete picture, obviously, of where every article of defense materials has gone, but certainly a fair amount of it has fallen into the hands of the Taliban. And obviously, we don't have a sense that they are going to readily hand it over to us at the airport.
They have a sense that they will not readily hand it to the airport. This thing is a joke, man. But real quick, a couple of scriptures it got me thinking. Obadiah 1, I believe it's. I just saw it too. Obadiah 1:7, it says, "All the men of that confederacy have brought thee even to the border," and ultimately that border is talking about in the Middle East. All the confederacy. When you look up the word confederacy, I believe is Barayat, covenant, alliance, pledge between men, treaty, alliance, league, men to men, constitution, ordinance, monarchy, subjects, agreement, pledge, men to men. So those that they made a covenant with, which are their allies, is going to lead them to that great war, which is taking place in the Middle East. All right. That's why whatever Israel says to do, they do it, because Israel, the land of Israel, those Israelis own America. Okay. They probably told them to look, get out of Afghanistan. We need your troops here to go to Iran, because the bigger ploy, the bigger plot is Iran. But reading on, it says, even to the border, the men that were at peace with thee, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevail against thee. They that ate thy bread have laid a wound under thee. And what is that meaning? That means that financial aid that was given to all these allies, all right, eventually is going to end up biting them in the ass. So in this particular case, they left weapons. They trained a whole government, military, and as soon as it was time for them to leave, that government's military folded. Now they've been trained over 10 years. I'm sorry, 20 years. No, they started the war at 20. All right, let's say 10 years. 10 years of straight training after they took down Al-Qaeda and all this other stuff. So that makes them a welfare case, right? They was getting funded and everything like that, because all they really wanted to do was control the poppy industry. That's all it's about. Damn near everything in the medical field right now is run by poppy seeds, which is heroin, and that's what they've been making trillions of dollars over. Some odd reason, they let go of that land and let all these things happen. All right. It says against thee, and they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There's none understanding in him. And that's what you're seeing. There's no understanding in these people, because they don't know what the hell they set themselves up. Now America has made so much enemies is beyond understanding. Now Russia, on the other hand, brother has said in the video, Russia has been making a lot of allegiance lately, alliances, all right, and they're standing guard over these smaller nations against America and their allies. So you see how everything's set up. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men of Edom, and understanding out of Mount of Seir, of Esau, sorry. So the Lord has taken that knowledge, understanding, and so forth against Esau, because he's making a lot of dumb mistakes. If this is what they claim it to be, either or, it's still a stupid mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe assumption. But hey, we can always text the Taliban complaint department and see what happens. I'm sure we'll be dealt with swiftly. So here we are. 20 years of war and destruction, tens of thousands of Afghans killed.
20 years of war and destruction. Wherever Esau goes, there's war. There's destruction. There's a picture that's circulating of these Iran, Libya, Afghanistan, all these other places before America came in. They were beautiful. As soon as America is done, is said and done, those places became desolate. All right? Destroyed.
Killed, many more traumatized, and the overall sense that you have at this point is of deep betrayal. Over 71,000 Afghan and Pakistani civilians are estimated to have died as a direct result of this war, with many more injured or displaced. As for our program,
that's a casualty of war. All right? But when you hear how much American soldiers died, like it just don't add up.
Drone strikes, they didn't just kill civilians, they traumatized an entire generation.
The villagers call them planes without men. Shehzaman says his 9-year-old son Suleiman was killed by a drone 3 months ago, along with the fathers of all of these children.
Hey, that's how you know this is the power of Esau. Real quick. This because this scripture was in my mind when I heard this. All right, this is how you know this is the power of Esau. All right. I'm not gonna go to the blessing. You should know the blessing by now. Isaiah 14 to the point. I believe it's 14. Isaiah 14 and 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee. This is a future prophecy, might I add, okay? So in the future, the nations are going to look at Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. They're going to narrowly look at him like, and it's going to say, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? This, you hear what this guy just said? He said, the people, children, man's children, has been traumatized from seeing airplanes without men dropping bombs on them. He has made the earth to tremble. All right? The pure sight of him destroying things has made a generation fear of him. All right? Let me go on.
I'm scared they'll bomb us. They killed my father, and I'm afraid they'll bomb us too.
I can't walk outside my home because I'm scared. I'm even scared at home.
Yeah, it's terrible. Particularly for...
Yeah, it's terrible. Look what you have done to the earth. All right? Look what you've done to the people of the earth. These people are traumatized to get bombed by something that a device when that nobody's in it. That even makes matters worse. See, in the ancient world, war between men and men. This new war, which is Isaiah the 9th chapter, tells you of burning fire. And this man has orchestrated this massive death sentence onto the people. That's why the scripture says what it says. All right, let me go back to this real quick. It says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroy cities thereof? And I just make mention of Iran. No, sorry, not Iran. Iraq, Libya, and there was another picture. I think it was Afghanistan. And these places, no, Syria. And these places actually looked good. Like these are good looking places. Like they really took care of it. They destroyed all those cities, man. All right, this is the power of Esau, man. And at display, and said to even add more insult to injury, that opened not the house of his prisoners. Because who was mostly in prison? Well, according to the statistics, the largest prisons are in America. More points, more fingers at the so-called white man. But let me go on. There's a little bit more juice into this little thing right here.
For women who had suffered terribly under the previous Taliban.
Oh, the women. Here we go. The women. Check this out.
Millions of girls were allowed to attend school for the first time, and women joined the military, the police, and held political office. But those...
What is that? That's what we call Babylon juice. All right? That's what you call Babylon juice. And that's why they've been making, they was pushing that agenda hard body. What about the women? What about the women? What about the women? All women around the world was not doing these things before America came through. And look how great the women of America is. The majority of divorces, adultery, the act of adultery is heavily over here. No responsibility, death, murder, you name it, is all here. If you want to use this as the prime example of giving women freedom, the household is broken. The man's outside the household, so children grow up without a father because the system is allowing women to do that. So you got women in police forces. That means that they aggressive. All right, they have authority. They usurping authority over men. The Taliban's not gonna have that shit. All right, but they want to protect the narrative. This whole entire thing, this 20 years is a failed accomplishment, man. And technically, America has not won a war since, I would say, World War II. All right, if you want to get technical, because after that was what, Vietnam they lost, Korean Wars they lost. All right, a couple proxy wars, they probably, you could say that that's a win, but overall they never. Afghanistan, they won. It seemed like they won in Afghanistan, but 20 years, the longest war in American history. Okay, but let's go on.
But those achievements are in real jeopardy now. And some who led the way, like Mahbouba Siraj, an Afghan women's activist, are acutely aware of that fact.
I'm going to say to the whole world, shame on you. Are you using all of us? Are we being just the pawns in your hands? Is that what it is? I don't understand it.
That's exactly what it was. It was an agenda that they didn't give a damn about. All right? And you stupid fucking retarded women over there fell for it. Jeremiah 50:7. It says, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. And the nations have drunken of her wine, which just happened. All right. They got a taste of democracy. Oh, we could do this. We could do that. Oh, we don't have to be a mom. We don't have to do that. Do all this other stuff. And as soon as whatever agenda they accomplished, whatever they wanted to accomplish, they left them bare and naked. Now they got to deal with the men of their nation who ain't having that shit. That's what they crying about. It says, therefore the nations are mad. So the madness that's been spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth, the reality of it is starting to kick in. It's like when you drink a certain drink and it tastes good at first. But when you have that hangover, then you're like, damn, I should never drink that shit. That's what's happening. Okay? That's what's happening. And this woman's like, shame on you. No, shame on you. You should know your ways. You should know your ways of your forefathers. You're talking about people that have a tradition for thousands of years, and just because you see some things in television of another place, you thinking that's the way to be. You got fooled. All right? You got fooled. Matter of fact, I got one more. Revelations 11:18, it says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come. And why the nations are angry for? Because they made an alliance, that covenant with this whore. All right? And now, because they made that covenant, don't you see a worldwide event that's taking place for every nation under the heavens that made a covenant with this man? All hell's breaking loose, man. Because what? The wrath of the Most High is coming. It says in the time of the dead that they should be judged. And it's who? The nations, man. There's nowhere in the planet Earth right now you can run to escape from any sort of judgment. The Lord has it lock, stock, barrel. Now let's say for brothers out here from the tribes, Judah, Benjamin, Levi. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are biblical Israelites. Let's say if you want to go to the South or South America, to Caribbean islands, all the Caribbean islands being affected by what Esau is doing. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. So what about the other nations, which is talking about in this particular verse right here? You could think about going to what's a nice place to go to? It's nowhere. Let's say Libya. They got problems. Egypt, they got problems. Nigeria, they got problems. Greece is burning. All right, you name it. Turkey is been flooded out. China been flooded out, and a whole bunch of other things, because the Lord is judging the nations, man. It says, and thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, thy prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, which are the brothers that's out there in the highways and byways doing this thing, small and great. I should have destroyed them which destroyeth the earth. And who's destroying the earth? Esau, Edom. All right, and this is part of his product. All right.
They just made decisions with their gut feelings or whatever. All of these men of the world, that they are in power, and they are destroying something that we worked so hard for. What is happening in Afghanistan today is going to put this country 200 years back.
200 years back. That's what you hear what this old bat is saying? Because the things that they were doing wasn't meant for them. All right? That's what it is. And she's upset because the money that she was able to make, and the BS, she's probably a lesbian, a witch, all right, doing all the things that great on bad America told her she can do. And now they realize that America never really had their best or their best interests, because once they do you dirty, that's it. They done with you. Whatever they get what they get, they leave. All right.
And a good encapsulation of the war, it's almost never what the Pentagon says and what the intelligence agencies say. So we learned this. 9 civilians from one family were also killed in this strike against ISIS. A man who lost his brother told CNN. 6 were kids, 10 years old or younger. Now, the media, the dupes that they are, and the charlatans and the frauds that they are, when the Pentagon said, we did an attack responding to these facilitators and these terrorists and these planners, and we hit our target, there's no civilian casualties. Can you imagine being in mainstream media and reporting that as if it's factual? Not doing your job and doing investigative reporting and doing digging and trying to find out, but just being a stenographer to the deep state and saying, here's the thing that's true because they said it. Well, now we know, again, the more time has gone by, he killed a giant number of civilians, including many children. Many children. And now their pictures are floating around on social media as well.
And that's the terror of Esau, man. That's the terror of Esau. This is why he's going to have to be taken out of power. Okay? This is exactly why America is going to be destroyed with thermonuclear destruction. Because wherever America set their foot in, death follows. It's quite that simple, actually. All right? But until then, these things is going to happen. And the setup is there. And now they might use this Taliban or ISIS-K as a catalyst to lock America down for a terrorist attack and so forth. So that way they could bring in their heat. All right? One way or another, this devil's going to show his true self. And the Lord's going to expose him. Which is there's plenty of scriptures on that. I just wanted to get to this point. So with that being said, I hope you brothers are edified. Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. Shalom.